All right, guys, so I won't say pet peeves, but something that kind of always raises an eyebrow, I find curious, is you buy a brand new boat, maybe a pre-owned boat, and you get your electronics, all right? And the electronics is top of the line, great stuff. And then you go out on the water, and I can't tell you how many buddies of mine, even like long-time fishermen, they pretty much use the electronic, that's what I'm going to call it. We're here with JT Koshy at the boatyard. He'll explain it better. They just use it for depth, maybe speed. Every once in a while they check their thing, gas or whatever it may be. But there's so much more to this, and I've said it on the podcast a few times. I've talked about how if you haven't done it already, you got to get into your electronics and make the most of it. You spent a lot of money for it, you might as well make the most of it. So we are here. JT,
that's right. You
heard what I just said. Would you agree with that? And let's go through what some of these things are that people sometimes just tend to ignore that they're capable of doing with the electronics these days.
100%. So there's two things to remember. These new GPS or electronics, these things are computers. They're supercomputers in your boat. So it sounds very complicated. The other thing is, they are meant for people to use all the time, every day, yeah. Whether you're, electronic savvy or not. Whether even if your kids have to show you how to send an email on your iPhone, they still make it possible for you to use some of these. So I want to walk you through some of the different options that these boats and these GPS units have.
Let's go.
So right now, this is a customer with a Freedom Patriot, and he had us put on a Lowrance HDS-12. So Lowrance and Simrad are owned by the same company, B&G, and so they have the same manufacturer and processes, but they look different. So if you're a Simrad guy, maybe give Lowrance a try, see if you like the look. It's all about preference. You're going to use and utilize the GPS that you feel more comfortable with.
Yeah.
If it's even just a look thing. So I'm going to go to this home menu here. And if you just like the layout on how you have your split screens on the right and then your big screen options right in the middle, if you just like to see that, you might feel more inclined to click on the different options and go to these options. Let's see. And instead of maybe a big touchscreen where everything's smaller. Of course, you can adjust the size and everything like that. But this Lowrance gives you a lot of control. I'll show you one interesting thing here. We'll go to the chart. And let's see.
The power pole.
Yeah, it's got power pole features. It does have a touchscreen. We just fired this GPS up. Here's the power pole feature. So if I press down here on this button in the back, it'll actuate your power pole.
That's pretty cool. A lot of people don't even use it.
Yeah, 100%. Another cool thing to think about is they have trolling motors that pair with the GPS. So if you have a Lowrance GPS and a Lowrance compatible trolling motor, they can talk to each other. Minn Kota and Humminbird, they pair together. If you have a Humminbird unit and a Minn Kota iPilot link, now they're all links. You can control your trolling motor, give it a radius or a line to follow, and the trolling motor will do it straight from the GPS.
See, now that's the stuff that a lot of people could use and would use if they just dug into their electronics.
So here's what's going to help every person with something on their boat, a GPS, a screen, a radar, a fish finder, anything. When we install a unit, or anywhere you buy a unit, if you do it yourself, they all come with an owner's manual. That word is a crazy word to a lot of people.
Wait a minute, what's that?
It's putting it right behind your shoulder into the garbage can. Open that owner's manual. Most of them have a quick user guide instead of a 50-page big novel that has multiple chapters. It's a little pamphlet that says, this is what you do here, 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 with pictures. Very easy to understand, follow. I recommend everyone look at that. If you have an old unit and you say, I threw mine away a long time ago, go on the manufacturer website, Lowrance HDS-12 Quick Connection Guide, or Customer Go-To Guide. They all have quick pamphlets that show you all the different features of the GPS, and it'll help you use your GPS to its max capacity.
And other things that you use, we always use depth, miles per hour, your gauges, What else are these things that maybe a lot of people tend to ignore?
Down scan, side scan, so really interesting stuff. A lot of the GPSs they call 3-in-1 do this, where they scan down to the side and right behind you. So here's side scan.
And that can be gold on the jetties?
Yeah.
Something like that?
100%. If I go to side scan here, so this line is right in the center of the boat, and you can adjust the frequency. So let's say you're rolling down next to the jetty, parallel to the jetty, or next to a bank. You'll actually see structure here, you'll see fish here, depending on what your sensitivity and how murky or how much junk is in the water. This is a really good tool to stroll by banks, jetties,
maybe some rocks that are submerged, trees that are submerged.
Any sort of structure, you'll see it on here and get a good idea of what's underneath when you can't see through the water.
And it's big time for the jetties. If you go back to the home screen, you can see everything, your instruments you can get. Now, a lot of people will hit that. That's pretty self-explanatory. You have some other gauges as well, and you can change the look of it on this side.
Right. You can do split screen. You can do down scan and side scan. So a lot of people want to see where they're going
while they're...
And they want to use the side scan. And of course, you can always make this screen bigger. It just costs a little bit more money. They make these things huge, 20 inches.
Yeah. And one other thing before we let you go, when you're using your electronics, it can be daunting, and a lot of people just ignore a lot of stuff, as we've been talking about. But in terms of like some of the chips and stuff that you can purchase now, some come with these things, your navigation becomes safer.
Correct, yeah. So a lot of units, actually most of all units, come with preloaded maps. So this HDS Live, it shows you all the channel markers out. You can click on an obstruction, it'll tell you what it is. That's preloaded. Now you can get cards that'll actually update and show like a satellite image. So for some people, when they see this, it just looks like a bunch of lines and colors. When you see it as a satellite image, you can reference, oh, I see that building right there. It's right next to my spot. Where I can navigate there.
The other thing is when you change boats, and this happened to me, in fact, I think I asked you about it, downloading all your fishing spots, all your things that you maybe found on the water onto the card, and then taking that card out. The card is generally under the console?
Yeah, on this one it's not flush mounted, so it's behind. Or sometimes they'll have a little tab in there. So see that memory card? It's got 2 spots for memory cards. With the unit off, you'll click in and just pull the card out.
And then you can download that onto your new unit.
Correct.
And it's just pretty self-explanatory.
It'll show everything your unit does now.
So, frankly, these days, it's a lot of people say it's not cheating, but you're so ahead of the game. But this is a safety feature that people just need to use.
Yeah, 100%. Obstructions in the water, channel markers, and you might see a channel marker located on the GPS or on the map, but you don't physically see it. You should know that there might be something there underneath the water.
And the other thing I do is I have a Simrad. I have the Simrad 9. I downloaded the app, and the app is exactly like this, and you can even have your own tracks and such on there.
That's correct. And Lowrance and all the other companies, I think Garmin has one too, they have that same feature. So you can get whatever's shown on your GPS on your phone. You can do things like plot waypoints. If you have a long trip where you're going all around a bay system, you can point to different spots and have those spots loaded up into your GPS through the app. They connect together, they talk to each other.
Back in the old days, we all had maps trying to figure out our trip, where we're going to go, what's the weather going to look like. Well, you can do it on your app.
It's all at I'll sit in, right before I go to bed, I'm sitting in bed, and you can look at the whole chart of where you're going to go the next morning. And it's like a game. Ooh, I didn't take the time to sit. Instead of out in the sun or something like that, looking at the GPS, zooming in and out.
And you want to get going.
Right there on your phone.
So you can just go.
When you hop on the boat, you're ready to go. It's all loaded up.
Perfect. Anything else before we get out of here that you feel is a lot of people maybe don't know, maybe should know about whatever the electronics is that you bring in?
Bunch of different GPSs, bunch of different operating systems, functions. Yours might have something, others don't. Read the owner's manual. If you don't have the owner's manual, Google your GPS owner's manual. There's usually a quick downloadable PDF. Read through it. You might say, oh, I had no idea mine did that. It'll save you a bunch.
All right, guys, that's JT Koshy. He's always good on this YouTube channel and on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and come see my friends over at the boat. Man, they're busy today. You guys are selling some boats, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast.